and welcome back to Sports Report. Before we go over to Chris with our special guest, we've got some final scores to go over with you. First, we'll start with the Potomac Falls tab score. Potomac Falls with a late layup gets the 46-44 victory. Greg Graves with 20, Zach Kern with 9, and Shaquille Rodney with 11 points. And on the ladies' side, Liberty comes out with a 54-38 victory over Grafton. Elizabeth Wood with 17, Ashlyn Lindsay with 13, and Olivia Wilson with 20 for Grafton. And now we'll send it over to Chris with our two special guests from the Virginia-Pilot, Jami Frankenberry and Larry Rubama.
All right, thanks, Matt. And as he mentioned, I'm joined by our frequent guests and contributors to the Sports Report, Jami and Larry. Welcome back.
Welcome.
All right, we've got another great season almost in the books, but we'll start with the Eastern Region Tournament. Some terrific action on Saturday, but some people feeling as though some of the action should have been saved for Monday with the top two teams in both boys and girls having to play in the semifinals instead of the finals.
We've heard it all week. You know, Jami had it more, but a lot of people say, you know, Kellum undefeated, the ranked #2 in the state. How come they have to play Norcom, #1 team? And that's just the way that's why the seedings win. I mean, that's the way they do it every single year. I mean, you could probably talk more about that with.
Yeah, they rotate the matchup, so there's really no way around it. You know, some years we've been really fortunate. This has not happened very often, and I don't think a change is coming anytime soon, because if you don't rotate the matchups, you're going to have somebody has to seed them, or you'll have power ratings. And, you know, it was unfortunate that Princess Anne and the Lake Taylor girls had to meet in the semifinals, and Kellum and Norcom met on the boys' side. But it did create a great atmosphere for the semifinals on Saturday. It was do or die for both, you know, all four teams, and, you know, scope was packed, so it really was electric.
Yeah, I definitely got the feeling that was one of those once in a 20 years situation. But as you mentioned, Saturday couldn't have been a more electric atmosphere for a basketball game. And Jami, you mentioned that might have been the most exciting environment you've been in high school sports in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, certainly I think you could make an argument that, you know, it was as there was as much buzz for that day as any high school event that I've seen, you know, in Hampton Roads. Certainly the girls' matchup between Lake Taylor and Princess Anne, that was probably the biggest stage a girls' basketball game has been on ever, you know, with a packed scope. #1 versus 2, two nationally ranked teams. The crowd showed up, and it was a great game. You know, that sometimes there's a lot of build-up, and it's a rout, or it's not very competitive, but it went down to the wire. Both games did.
Now, Larry, Norcom and Princess Anne going on to states. What separates those two teams from the rest of the pack in boys and girls basketball?
I'd say this year, Norcom, nobody knew about Norcom last year. This year, people know about Norcom. The thing is about Norcom, I think they got to get some more scoring. Right now, Dorian Finney-Smith is leading them, and DeCarlos Anderson are the only two scorers. You're going to have more. They got Highland Springs coming up next, a team that loves to run up and down the court, a team that has tenacious defense. You know, they could try to shut down, you know, Finney, or at least contain them. Same thing with Anderson, but somebody else has to come up, not just one. They're going to lead at least two more people to help, you know, step up if they're going to be able to win another state title.
And in Princess Anne, Jami, you mentioned that they haven't hit a three-pointer in seemingly almost 2 weeks. I mean, you can only rely on Elizabeth Williams for so long, and they've got other great perimeter players, but someone's going to have to step up and hit a long-range jump shot for them, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, they've sort of struggled from the outside, and it hasn't bothered them. You know, Elizabeth Williams is getting her 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 blocks. And, you know, nobody can compete with them when they're throwing that trap defense against them. But I think when you get to Forest Park in the semifinals, and then probably West Springfield is going to wait for them in the final, I think you're going to have to knock down some outside shots. Galatia Goodhope can do it. I mean, she's a great shooter. Amanda Andrades has also played pretty well on the perimeter. So they've got, you know, the capability of making that outside shot, but they may really need them in the next couple of days.
Now, the public schools weren't the only area teams with some great basketball teams. The private schools had Norfolk Christian and Cape Henry, boys and girls, winning state titles. You can't talk enough about James McAdoo. Yeah. What has he meant to that Norfolk Christian program?
Everything. I mean, he's put them on the map. When I first got here, you didn't really hear about Norfolk Christian. You heard about Cape Henry's and Norfolk Collegiate, but he's helped put them on the map. And now, I mean, and they're going to have good teams. They're going to have a good team next year. They have a lot of guys returning next year, and I think now they're building that program. Will they be as strong as they were this year? Probably not, but, I mean, he's really put that program on, and he's helped the area as well, become, you know, Parade All-American, McDonald's All-American. He's brought a lot of pride, you know, a lot of interest to this area as well.
And, Jami, for Cape Henry, they kind of came out of nowhere, but really took the season by storm in the TCIS, and matched up with Norfolk Christian in a couple of great battles between those two teams.
Yeah, I mean, Cape Henry had never won a TCIS girls basketball championship before this season, and Coach Richard Plank has sort of built that program over the last few years. They got a few key transfers in this year from some public schools, and they really dominated. I mean, they dominated all season. They beat Norfolk Christian 3 times. Norfolk Christian was a 2-time defending state champion. So Cape Henry won TCIS regular season tournament and a state title.
All right, we'll get you guys out in this final question. Will it be a 2-time defending champion Norcom Greyhounds, or will Princess Anne recapture a state title as well?
Norcom's got to get somebody else to score. Highland Springs, I think, will be their toughest test. T.C. Williams and L.C. Bird will be on the other side, but they've got to get some other scoring besides Anderson and Finney-Smith.
And Jami?
I mean, I think Princess Anne's a clear favorite. I mean, they should win if they play well. As long as Elizabeth Williams doesn't get in foul trouble, you know, they're the favorite. They should win.
All right. Well, as you heard it from these two guys, they certainly know everything there is about high school basketball, and we'll send it back over to Matt.
All right, thanks, Chris. Once again, a special thank you to Jami and Larry for coming in and giving us a wrap on this regular season as we get so much closer to the state championships. Once again, a reminder, you can see those state championship games live here on Cox 11. For Chris Park, I'm Matt White. Good night.
You have DVR?
I have DVR.
Okay. Yeah?
I love it.
Do you record a lot of shows?
I record everything.
Cox is better Verizon because I think the customer service is much better.
Welcome. The inside story on savings is right here.